Tennis is in crisis. Simona Halep faces a 4-year ban after testing positive once for a banned substance, while Jannik, who tested positive twice for an anabolic steroid, continues to play as if nothing happened. Is this the biggest hypocrisy in the sport? What are tennis officials hiding? Let's be honest, tennis is showing its ugly side. One player is destroyed while another is protected. But why? What's really going on behind closed doors? How does the ITIA decide who to punish and who to protect? This is more than just a doping scandal. This is a story of double standards, corruption, and favoritism at the highest level of tennis. Simona Halep, a name synonymous with hard work, determination, and success. She was a 2-time Grand Slam champion, a player who earned every bit of her fame on the court. But all of that came crashing down in 2022 when she tested positive for roxadustat, a substance that's meant to boost red blood cell production. Halep has maintained her innocence from the start, claiming she never knowingly ingested anything illegal. But the ITIA didn't care. They slapped her with a 4-year ban. 4 years. That's longer than most players' entire prime. It's essentially a career death sentence, especially for someone in their 30s like Halep. But what's worse, the ITIA dragged this out for months. In that time, Halep's reputation was utterly destroyed. Every headline was about her doping. Every conversation questioned whether she'd ever come back. And the ITIA? They didn't rush to find the truth. They let her career burn. Now compare this to Jannik, one of tennis's brightest young stars. In 2024, Sinner tested positive for clostebol, not once, but twice. Clostebol is a steroid, a performance-enhancing drug that's strictly banned in tennis. So what did the ITIA do? Strip some of his ranking points and take away a bit of prize money. That's it. No ban, no suspension. Sinner is still out there winning tournaments, competing in Grand Slams, raking in millions from endorsements. His career has barely been touched. The ITIA cleared him in a matter of weeks. They took his team's explanation at face value and moved on. Why? Because Sinner is valuable to tennis. He's young, he's marketable, and he's the future of the sport. So how does Halep's career end with a 4-year ban while Sinner gets a free pass? It's not just unfair, it's a double standard of epic proportions. The ITIA has 2 sets of rules, one for the players they need to protect, and one for the players they can afford to lose. Halep was a convenient scapegoat. Sinner? He's too important for their brand. This isn't just about doping. This is about how tennis treats its stars. If you're a rising star, you get protected. If you're past your prime, they throw you to the wolves. This is about politics, money, and protecting their future investments. The players aren't staying silent. Denis Shapovalov took to Twitter to voice his frustration, calling the situation ridiculous. Nick Kyrgios didn't mince words either, saying, "You test positive twice with a steroid and you're still playing? Something doesn't add up." The anger is building because everyone sees what's happening. The ITIA is making it clear that the rules only apply to certain players. And they're right. How can tennis claim to be a sport of fairness when one player's career is destroyed and another gets off scot-free? It's becoming impossible to ignore the bias. Sinner failed 2 drug tests, yet he's treated like the victim. Halep failed 1, and she's been completely erased from the sport. Where's the justice in that? So, what's the real reason Sinner was let off the hook? It's simple. He's tennis's golden boy. He's the future of the ATP, the rising star that's going to take over the mantle from legends like Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. The ITIA can't afford to lose him. He's too valuable. Sponsors love him. Fans love him. The sport needs him. And when you're that important, the rules don't apply. They knew exactly what they were doing. They rushed to clear Sinner's name to protect their investment. The ITIA didn't want a doping scandal hanging over their rising star. So they took his team's excuse, a contaminated ointment, and ran with it. Case closed. Meanwhile, Halep, she's left in the dark, fighting for answers that never come. Simona Halep's career may be over. A 4-year ban at her age is almost impossible to come back from. Even if she fights and manages to reduce the sentence, her prime years are gone. And for what? A test she didn't understand? A substance she didn't even know was in her system? The ITIA didn't care about the truth. They wanted a headline, and they got one. Halep was judged differently, and she knows it. She's been vocal about the unfair treatment, saying that the ITIA didn't give her the same benefit of the doubt that Sinner received. And she's right. The difference in how these two cases were handled is shocking. Sinner was cleared in weeks. Halep had to wait months just to get an explanation. Her career was ruined before the truth even came out. This isn't just about Halep and Sinner anymore. This is about the ITIA's complete failure to enforce its own rules fairly. Tennis is a sport that prides itself on integrity, but how can we trust it when the very organization responsible for maintaining that integrity is playing favorites? How many more players have been unfairly punished while others are protected behind closed doors? The ITIA is losing the trust of players, fans, and the entire tennis world. And the longer they let this double standard go unchecked, the more damage they do. Tennis needs to clean up its act, or this sport will be tarnished for good. And don't think this is the end of the controversy. The Sinner case is far from over. Even though the ITIA tried to sweep it under the rug, people are still asking questions. How did Sinner's team get the ITIA to clear him so quickly? Was there pressure from sponsors? From tournament organizers? From the ATP itself? The deeper you dig, the more it looks like a cover-up. And if that's the case, the ITIA is in deep trouble. If Sinner really is innocent, why did his case get resolved so fast, while Halep's dragged on for months? Why didn't the ITIA give Halep the same level of scrutiny they gave Sinner? These are the questions that the ITIA refuses to answer, and the more they stay silent, the worse it looks. At this point, the ITIA's credibility is shot. Players like Kyrgios and Shapovalov are calling them out. Fans are losing faith, and sponsors are watching closely. If tennis keeps letting these double standards slide, the whole system will collapse. And this isn't just about doping. It's about corruption. It's about whether tennis is really a fair game or whether it's rigged in favor of certain players. How can a sport claim to be about fairness when the rules don't apply equally to everyone? Halep was punished to the full extent of the law. Sinner? He was given a free pass. How does that make sense? It doesn't. And if this is what tennis is becoming, where players are judged not by their actions but by their marketability, then the sport is headed for disaster. Simona Halep's legacy is ruined. A player who spent years building her career, winning Grand Slams, and becoming a role model for the sport, now has to live with the fact that she's been branded a cheat. Her 4-year ban might as well be a life sentence. And even if she fights it, even if she reduces the ban, her name will forever be tied to this scandal. That's the real tragedy here. Halep gave everything to this sport, but when she needed the ITIA to stand by her, they didn't. They saw an opportunity to make an example of her, and they took it. Meanwhile, Sinner, a player who tested positive twice, is being protected like he's untouchable. The hypocrisy is staggering. Tennis is at a crossroads. If the ITIA doesn't fix this now, the sport could be headed for disaster. Players will lose trust. Fans will turn away. Sponsors will pull out. And all because the ITIA chose to play favorites instead of enforcing the rules fairly. This isn't just about Halep and Sinner. This is about the future of the sport itself. What do you think? Is tennis doomed if these double standards continue? Has Simona Halep been unfairly sacrificed while Jannik Sinner gets off scot-free? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this is bad, just wait until you hear what else is happening behind the scenes in tennis. Subscribe now and stay tuned. You won't want to miss what we uncover next.